Building a family can be a complicated, messy, lonely, and sometimes heartbreaking process. But you don't have to navigate this challenging journey alone.
Welcome to the AllPaths podcast, where we support and celebrate all of the different ways there are to try and grow your family. We're your hosts, Alexis, Emily, and Kate from the nonprofit organization AllPaths Family Building. And today we're talking with Rebecca about her journey. Rebecca, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So before we get into your family story, we would love for you to just introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure. So my name is Rebecca. I'm actually a resident of Connecticut. I am also a peer support leader for AllPaths. I found them, unfortunately, at the end of my journey of becoming a mother. I wish I found them a lot sooner. And running the peer groups, I am the leader for the One and No Longer Trying. And it's been a wonderful way to kind of give back to this community, as I am also a fellow fertility warrior. So very happy to have found AllPaths. And I've actually segued into my career as a perinatal social worker. So I've kind of taken a lot of the bad and turned it into some of the good in my life, which has been great. Yeah.
Well, we know all about that, and we appreciate you for doing that.
Yeah.
And so will you share a little bit with us about how your own family building journey began?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So our family building journey started about 5 years ago. My husband and I were trying for a little while and then decided to get some intervention. We started in 2020 with IUI. And then, as everyone knows, the pandemic hit. So that just put another big pause on our journey that we had very little control over to begin with. And after, things kind of opened back up again, we continued with our journey of IUI. After 5 unsuccessful rounds, we had opted into IVF. We completed 3 rounds of IVF. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to create any embryos. They weren't really getting to that, that day 5 blastocyst stage. We did end up transferring at our last round of IVF, and I unfortunately lost that pregnancy. And then my husband and I really decided to okay, we need a break. It's just way too much here. And I think as many people can relate, once you're in it, you just kind of keep going until something sticks. And I remember telling my husband, all right, IUI, that's it. I'm not going any further. That's really all I can handle. And then next thing I knew, I'm 3 rounds deep into IVF. And that's when I kind of knew I needed a break. So we did. We halted there, and we actually left for a multitude of reasons and started at Illum Fertility. And they were absolutely wonderful. I give so much love and gratitude to Dr. Williams. He really, I thank him every day. He gave us our baby, who was conceived using a donor egg. So I got pregnant in 2022, and I welcomed our son Jordan in February of 2023. It's been a wild ride.
Again, we understand, and we hear you. Well, Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry for the loss that you experienced along the way, but very happy to hear that you're parenting. And how did you kind of, not to use our term, but how did you kind of shift to the path of donor conception, and what went into that sort of intellectually, emotionally?
So because we weren't really making blastocysts, unfortunately, with unexplained infertility, there's no core reason as to why this isn't happening for us. Fortunately, my husband, nothing came back abnormal on his end, so they just kind of assumed process of elimination it had to do with my eggs. So after the 3rd round, our doc sat us down and was like, we can absolutely try again. However, I just don't know how successful that's going to be. And clearly getting older, and the quality of eggs, unfortunately, decreases as you get older as well. So just kind of really weighing our options. It wasn't necessarily off of the table. My husband was definitely more set on it than I was. It took me a little while to get there. Just knowing, the whole genetic component was, no longer going to be connected to me. So it was a lot that I really had to work through personally. Thank God for therapists. So after we made that decision, he actually left so that And like I said, many other reasons for us leaving and going to Loom. Talking to the doctor there really confirmed, like, I think that this would be in your best interest to, have a successful journey of bringing a baby into this world. So yes, it was definitely a lot mentally to work through, but also on paper, it just looked like it was the right decision for us. And thankfully it was. But it was not an easy one. And, I think that even the groups and AllPaths and just hearing everyone else's story, like, this is something that is not talked about, especially donor egg conception, never mind like IVF and the whole fertility journey that women and families go through. But donor conception is just, there's not much there. There's not much out there. And so because of that, I felt even like more on my own little island, I think. So yeah, it took me, like I said, took me a while to really jump on board for this next step. So happy I did.
Thank you. So, as you know, we're large proponents of therapy over here. It really is a challenging experience, and having some extra mental health support is always a good thing. But in addition to that, were there any other resources that were particularly helpful for you?
Yeah. So Loom was wonderful where they had so many resources and also support groups. And I did a lot of the yoga that actually Lisa ran. So I'd known Lisa for a while. So that was something I think I looked forward to multiple times a week, is just kind of taking that time to myself and just really honing in and just relaxing. So I definitely did a lot of yoga. I really got a lot into meditation. There's some great apps out there. I know like Expectful was one of the ones I used. Circle and Bloom was another one that I used. And then, like I said, like therapy, acupuncture, all the things. I feel like I pulled out all of the stops because I didn't want to look back and be like, oh, I really wish I tried that, So anything that kind of like bettered my headspace is I kind of like dove right into. And I am so grateful for that. And like I said, I wish I found you guys sooner because I didn't partake in any other like groups, and feeling so lonely, as I had mentioned, I feel like that would have lessened that for me if I found that community sooner. So I'm so grateful for it now, just being a part of it, just in a different way.
In a different way, but it's also healing to support and out that help that you wish you had. So I totally see that. Are you still so involved? Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Very grateful. I mean, you see a lot of like people that come to the groups and they just like don't really say much, but at the end, like you'll get an email on the side saying, thank you. Like, I'm so happy I showed today. So everyone's at different spots with it, but just showing up is step one.
What I know, you mentioned that you're leading the One and No Longer Trying group for AllPaths, which again, thank you so much for doing that. And can you talk a little bit about sort of making peace with that? I don't want to say journey again with that outcome potentially. I know some people come to that group that are questioning whether they're one and no longer trying, not necessarily decided. But can you talk about that, which I can relate to?
Yeah. So I knew I was done after I had him. I knew that this wasn't something that I could go through again, especially mentally. It was just very taxing on me. And I just feel like I'm very grateful for what I have now, like just kind of really embracing that. My husband, on the other hand, was a different story. I guarantee you, if I go up there today and say, like, let's do this again, he'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Like, let's go, let's make the appointment. However, he has been very supportive with the decision that we have made just to kind of have Jordan and parent him and just be so present with him, because I feel like a part of my decision too is I lost so many years and so much time really just like being with my family, being present with my friends, and just kind of like working on myself because I was so entrenched in this whole fertility stuff that I didn't want to take that away from my child. I didn't want him to feel pushed aside a little bit because I decided to do this again and I can't be present just because I knew how much that took away from me the first time. So that wasn't really a journey for me to come to that decision. It's definitely more for my husband. And, kind of talking to the women that do show up to the group, you're right. Some are like, nope, this is definitely, where I'm at. Others are kind of like on the fence. So, it's definitely something that I think helps me process my decision as well. Just kind of like getting the support and people understanding, or, there are days where I'm like, oh, maybe I can do this again. Like you have a really good day with the baby and you're like, oh, yeah. And then like the next day is completely different. You're like, nope, good. Like one and done. We're good here. So, I feel like I still go back and forth, and I probably always will. But for the most part, I think that this is right for me and right for my family.
So I hope this is okay to ask, but you've mentioned a few times where you and your husband were not on the same page. And I think anyone who is partnered knows that you're not always going to agree on things. But can you talk a bit about how you navigated those situations in relation to your family building experiences and the overall impact that your journey had on your relationship as a couple?
Sure. I think at the end of it all, like really looking back, I think that it really made us stronger. We're definitely at a much better point in our marriage because we went through that. However, during it, it was incredibly difficult. It's one of those things like someone can say they understand what you're going through, or someone can say, oh, I get it, but like that's not true. And for him to say, oh, I get it, I understand what you're going through, and now you feel like you don't, right? Like I'm the one going to the appointments, I'm the one getting the surgeries, I'm doing it, and I appreciate the fact like you're there every step of the way. However, you don't get it. So I think that for him, he was kind of removed from it. And I know for a fact that he hasn't really emotionally processed the entire thing. And he'll joke about it once in a while, but I feel like, oh no, like that really stings for you still. Like that's still there for you. And, he was the best partner I could have asked for when it came to journey. I feel like I keep using that word, but it's true, right? Like journey, path. I don't know. I'm so grateful for him because he was he was a rock. He was solid. He was very like, I don't know, like no emotion ever came through. And I feel like that's kind of what I needed in the moment. Whereas I was processing it the whole time. And now I think he's starting to, now that we're at the end of the journey, I think he's starting to like, it's hitting him a little bit more. We're not having another one. We're not going through this again, and it's one of those things that like, our friends are still having children or trying to have children. Right. And like, that's it. And I think he feels that sting still.
And his way of coping was such a comfort to you, which is great. But as you're saying, you want to make sure he is processing in whatever way he has to make peace with it. And as you know, we do have a group just for men. If he wants to join, he can be part of it, even if he is parenting. Right, Emily? Yeah, she's nodding. So, because I think sometimes it does fall to the partner who isn't trying to conceive to feel like they have to be like the rock, which, like we said, sometimes is so helpful, but also, as we know, rocks aren't particularly emotive. So
Yes.
It's hard to go through it like that, sort of in silence. So I would love to hear about how this personal experience of trying to grow your family, how did that influence your professional path?
Yeah. So I'm a perinatal social worker. I actually just passed my exam. So I'm PMH-C certified, which was a huge milestone for me. It took about 2 years for me to get here, so I'm very excited about it. Yes, I work primarily with mothers or women who are on their journey of becoming mothers. I do a lot of postpartum work with them. I would probably say half of the women that I see are in the trenches of their fertility journey, and half of them are just going through the stressors of just motherhood in general. No matter how old their child is, it's still there. So, and I really feel like grateful that I can, like I said before, kind of turn my bad into good and kind of really start to give back to the community. It's one of those things I feel like it goes a long way, like when you're able to connect with somebody that, I've been there before, right? Like I do understand to an extent. I understand everyone's journey is different. However, like being a warrior is being a warrior, right? So that doesn't change. No matter what that path looks like, that doesn't change. So yeah, and I love what I do. I feel like I found like a newfound love for the field. It was very hard, like trying to get pregnant while treating other people, and hearing other people's just like stories and what they had going on in their lives, and like doing my best to be present while I'm waiting for a phone call from a doctor. Like, it was a lot. And now I feel like I can really entrench myself in my profession a bit more. and really like show up for my clients, which I'm so happy about.
So what, during what you're seeing out there, what are some of the misconceptions about family building challenges that you wish more people would understand?
I think that a lot of the misconceptions about it is that people think that once you start, it's automatically going to happen. I think that, and I guilty, like I thought, okay, once I do IVF, I'm going to get pregnant the first try, right? Like that's just something that I think that a lot of us are under that false, thought. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. And just, I wish people were more aware of like the resources and the supports that are out there. Again, like this is just not talked about, and you are not alone. Even though I know at times it really can feel lonely, but you aren't. And, it's just to kind of use whatever you can, use whatever you find, and take advantage of it. And, people kind of say like, oh, just relax, take time off, go on vacation. Like that's all bullshit.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
doesn't happen. Like I'm not going to go to Florida, come home pregnant. Like if it worked, I wouldn't have so much medical debt, but
I know.
here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you're not in it, you're very naive to it. You don't understand. Right. So, and then you have people coming to you and they think they're saying the right things, but they're really not, and, I think if I can give anyone advice through this, it's just show up for the person that in your life is going through it. Just give them support, ask if they need anything, check in, right? Just check in. Don't try to problem solve. Don't tell them to relax. Don't tell them that it's going to happen because you don't know. You're not a fortune teller. So please don't predict that for them. Just be a shoulder for them to lean on if they need it.
I love that. I mean, and I thought my first IUI was going to work. I mean, I was actually devastated my first, unsuccessful IUI because I just thought like, oh, we're just going to do this. And so I remember really having a hard time with that, even though in retrospect, it was like, that was just the beginning, girl, buckle up. But it is hard because I think that message of the likelihood of success is not really out there.
No.
And so it is hard.
Yeah.
And like you said, the people giving advice instead of just like sitting in the trenches with you. I mean, I know you don't want your loved one to be hurting, but it's like, I'm going to be hurting no matter what. Just like sit here next to me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know we all wish people understood that more. So are there particular strategies that whether you're trying to become a parent or if you are a parent, are there some kind of go-to strategies that you share with your clients? I'm sure it's all individualized, but are there some coping strategies or things that you suggest to them that you want to pass along?
Sure. I think one of the biggest things that I try to do a lot is like validating how they're feeling, right? Like I never want to negate that. I never want to take that away. And I think, you see a lot of like new moms kind of hesitate when they start to talk about like how hard this really is and just, I feel this way. I don't think that I should, right? Like you are entitled to feel how you feel. So own it, right? I mean, and one of the biggest things I think when it comes to parenting is like everything is temporary. Like no 2 days are ever going to be the same. No 2 nights are ever going to be the same. So like, yes, like it's really difficult now, but it's temporary. Like it's not going to be like this forever, but I do think that's my biggest thing is that I just want you to know, like, I hear you, I see you. It's okay to feel that the way you do, and I think that's probably my biggest thing. Yes, it's definitely individualized, but I always, because it wasn't shared with me, I always share resources. So I always, whether or not they use them, like I'll always email them stuff and like, down the line you find it to be helpful, great. If not, that's okay too. And also like a lot of the things that I used on my own journey, like I'll kind of, suggest to them too, as far as like Circle and Bloom, for example, or depending on their clinic where they're at, see if they have like the yoga classes, or a lot of them do like check-in groups, to make them feel less isolated, less lonely. Yeah. So it's just really, I do my best to support and guide and validate as much as I can because it's very difficult, I think, as we all here know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy.
Well, they're lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for validating those feelings. I think when you were talking about how a lot of people are sometimes like, can I admit how hard this is as a new parent? When you have folks who are parenting after a challenging journey, that can be even more amplified. When you feel like I've worked so hard to get to this point, then how can I actually say out loud that this is really hard and I'm not loving every moment? It can be so tough, but all of those feelings are valid. You can love the fact that your family has finally grown, but you don't have to love every single moment of keeping a tiny human alive.
Exactly. I also feel the same with pregnancy, right? Like, I'm so grateful I was able to get pregnant, but it doesn't mean you have to love every step of pregnancy. Some people do a lot better than others, and that's okay. Every body is different. And it's like, oh, I feel bad complaining. I feel bad saying I'm not sleeping. Yeah, but that's how it is for you, right? Like, that is part of your story. Nothing wrong with that. You're still grateful and so happy that you have this baby with you, but reality is it takes a toll. Yeah.
Yeah. And holding those feelings inside is not good for
No.
you. So it's like, that's why I think creating these safe spaces where you can say those things that you don't think you're quote unquote supposed to say, which I hate that. I hate should and supposed to and all that. Yeah. So I think that is so, so important. I actually I hate when people say like to a new parent or even a pregnant person, like, enjoy every moment. It goes by so fast. I'm like, I want to turn to them and be like, and did you enjoy every moment? I mean, and it's like, I feel like, again, there's just I know the sentiment is good. Like, cause usually it's a person like me who has like a teenager and is like longing for those days in some ways, but it's like, or even older, like our older relatives will be like, oh, I miss those days of really that direct parenting. And I understand that sentiment, but telling someone to enjoy every moment when very likely they are not enjoying every moment is just a way of adding to the guilt and the feelings of like, oh, I should be, which I agree with Emily, is just magnified when you struggled, because you can't help. I know I still have in my heart like people who are still on the path to growing their family or are making peace with an outcome that maybe they didn't foresee. And it's like, so you're holding them in your heart, but also your emotions and the complex emotions are very, very valid. So that is great. Well, it's kind of related to what we've just been talking about, but what is an encouraging thing that you like to say to people that are struggling to grow their families? And then what is something you wish no one would ever say again?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the encouraging things, again, like your emotions are valid. You're not alone in this. Please, like, use the community you have. Also, I think it's important to tell people, like, you don't have to share your story. You can keep it to yourself. You can share it if you'd like to. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Also, social media is, remember, anyone can hide behind a camera and make pregnancy and motherhood and for their fertility journey any way that they want. And it doesn't mean that it's real. So your journey is specific to you. Please don't compare it to others. I think that's kind of like the biggest things that I've learned. As far as things not to say to somebody, like I said before, please don't tell people, like, just relax, go on vacation, it's going to happen. Don't try to solve their problem. Just, like Kate said, like, be in the trenches with them. Just be that shoulder that they're looking for. That's what they need. If there was a solution to their problem, they would have already figured it out by now. I mean, I feel like fertility warriors, they do more research and they're more devoted and they will do anything in their power. Trust me, they've already thought of it before you said it. So, they're definitely ahead of the game, but just be there for them. That's the most important part.
Amen. Yeah. Sometimes I would be like, believe me, I have a whole team of people trying to help me become a mom. So they haven't solved it yet. So I don't think like your cousins, brothers, sisters experience is going to solve it for me. So
exactly right. And neither
thank
is
you.
Google. So
Yeah. Thank you, but no, thank you. I'm all set. Just take me out to lunch.
I know. A coffee would be nice.
Yeah. Take me out for tea. That would be better.
Right. Yeah.
So if anyone listening is interested in getting in touch, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
So I'm based in Connecticut, and I'm only licensed in Connecticut, so I can only see people in Connecticut. That being said, I do telehealth and I do in person. My office is located in Shelton. As far as finding me and contact information, if you just Google Rebecca Daddio, Daddio, it'll come right up. I have a webpage. I have a Psychology Today. I have my bio on there. So if you feel like we would be a good fit, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to touch base and connect and hopefully make this experience and journey a little easier for you.
Thank you. We'll put a link to your website in the show notes as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So before we wrap up, is there anything we haven't asked about, either about your professional life or your personal journey, that you'd like to share?
No, I mean, I think that I just want to thank you guys very much. I mean, I'm so happy that I was able to find something to do after my personal journey was over, because I feel like this is like lifelong for me. I feel like this is something that I want to continue to be a part of in any way that I can. So being a volunteer, doing this professionally, I feel much more fulfilled than I ever did. And again, I've had a wonderful family, a wonderful support system. My husband is my rock star. So I couldn't have done this without them. My friends, all of it. I mean, just a big blanket of thank yous.
Well, right back at you. We are so thankful to have you as part of the AllPaths community.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, and thank you for chatting with us today. And thank you to all of our listeners as well.
We hope you'll join us next time for more family building stories and resources. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts to make sure you never miss an episode. And follow us on social media at AllPaths FB, or visit our website, allpathsfb.org, for more information about our work. AllPaths Family Building is so grateful to the members of our circle of support who are vital to our ability to provide emotional support, education, and advocacy that is open to anyone struggling to grow their families. Today, we want to give a shout out to our rainbow sponsor, Illume Fertility. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Please help spread the word so that anyone who is struggling to grow their family can join the conversation. It's an honor to walk with you on your family building journey.